So if you're finding yourself in relationships where things are off or there's these patterns, there's these things going on in your life, anything, not just relationships, take a look at maybe where you're doing that, right? Like, for example, in the past, I found where maybe there's clients that aren't committing to doing work with me. And I'm like, what's going on? Why is everybody not committing? Like, oh, it's so annoying. But when I took a closer look, I was like, oh, where am I not committing? Yeah, I'm not really showing up in the gym like I want to with my health. Okay. And when I show up in the gym in my health, clients flood to me because I am embodying that frequency of commitment.
You're listening to Life Aquarian, a soul's journey through the human experience. And now, here's your host, Leanne.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Life Aquarian. I am your host, Leanne, and if you're new here, this is my soul's journey through the human experience, where I share everything that I'm learning along the way, the insights, the messy middle, and all of the magic. And one of the things I like to do here is introduce you to the mentors and teachers that I am meeting along the way and share with you the wonderful work that they are doing in the world. And today's guest is someone who embodies the essence of personal transformation. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology with numerous certifications in a range of modalities that help her clients release limiting beliefs, heal past traumas, and embrace a life of fulfillment. She is a soul purpose coach, a spiritual hypnotherapist, and a retreat host, dedicated in guiding others back to their true selves. Please welcome to the show, Lexi from Journey for Joy with Lexi. And let's take this journey for joy together. Hi, Lexi. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Leanne and listeners. Thank you so much for pressing play and choosing to have a listen. And, time is the most valuable resource that we have. And so the fact that you're here listening means a lot to us both.
It absolutely does. Thank you. Whew. So I'd love to start these conversations off by talking about your spiritual awakening and what led you, and I'm sure it wasn't just one thing, but what led you to this work that you are doing now?
Yeah, so my journey was many steps, of course, like you said. And I like to think that in the beginning, I've always been tuned in, tapped in, turned on, right? As Abraham Hicks might say. I was more positive and interested in depth. I'm a Scorpio sun, and so I feel like that carried me through life even as a young girl. I found myself even asking my mom or my parents when they would give me an answer, I would ask why. I'd say, why is the sky blue? Well, because God painted it that way. Well, why did God paint it that way? Like I would always ask why. I'd want to go deeper. I'd want to know more. But of course, like most people, the programming, society, life, traumas, things got piled upon me, and I lost that spark. I lost that inner connection and hid it. And I would say that it kind of started in probably high school more so because I was led to study psychology. I knew I wanted to help people. I had no idea it would look the way it does now. And it started with me wanting to be a nurse until I found out that as a nurse, you had to do a lot with blood, which I absolutely, I know it's our life force. Yes. And for some reason, thinking about taking people's blood, seeing people's organs, just all that kind of stuff, I was like, you know what? No, thank you. And they said, oh, and we'll have to cut open a cadaver next year. I said, yeah, I'm going to go for AP Psych. I'm going to go for the thing you can't see. I'm going to go with the brain. And I also saw my mom deeply struggle with mental health, deeply struggle, like psych ward stuff, guys, pretty deep. And it kind of rocked me to my core very young. I wondered, how did my mom get like this? Why do some people do really well and why do some people deeply struggle? And so studying psychology was a deeper understanding of one, understanding my mother, but also understanding the world, understanding people. I was very curious about people, loved having conversations, talking with people. On every report card, got told would do very well if she stopped talking to people, if she would stop having conversations with other kids. And yeah, I just really love to connect and get to know people. And so yeah, long story short, graduated almost 10 years ago now with my degree in psychology. I was going to be a traditional therapist, potentially even a psychiatrist, until I too fell under that system. Big pharma, whatever you want to call it. I was prescribed and thrown so much medication at the age of 21 that I did not need. And I know some people do need them for a certain time. Sometimes that is your whole life, and sometimes that's just temporary. However, I did not need all of those pills. And even at that young age, when I went in to have my ADHD medication refilled and I told them I couldn't sleep, I had a lot of anxiety and stress. I had times of depression. He threw another label on me and threw me anxiety pill, depression pill, and a sleeping pill at 21 on top of my ADHD medication, which is like legal cocaine, honestly. And I was like, you know what? I don't really want to be part of this industry. I'm not, I just wanted to talk to somebody, just wanted him to talk to me. And so I decided I was going to finish my degree and I was going to figure out what I would do. So I finished my degree, applied to school. I was going to go to what was it? Social work. Yeah, social work. I got accepted into social work master's program in California. But then I had a breakup to the guy I thought at 24 I was going to marry. Yeah, that didn't happen. And once that occurred, I realized, wow, I've been living my life for others. I've been living my life for these boys, these guys I was dating, everyone else around me, my family, my friends. What do I actually want? And what I wanted more than anything at that moment was to move to Texas. I grew up in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is
Cold?
very cold. And it's just it was a small town of 10,000 people. Most people don't really know where it's at. It's like Wisconsin Dells Baraboo. It's a very, very small place. And I felt so constricted and confined there. And so I set a date. I always wished on 11/11. And I said, a couple days after my birthday on 11/11, November 11th, I'm going to move to Texas. And so I packed up my car, grabbed my dog. My mom helped me drive down, and I started my life completely over at 24 years old. No friends, just my grandparents, and really had such an awakening in that moment that I was in deep pain, emotional pain, miserable, looking outside myself for worth, using Tinder, those apps to find worth in other men, sleeping around with men, hating my body, working out because I hated how I looked. And I was actually thinner than I am now, which is interesting. And just found myself, yeah, on that journey of unpacking everything that I thought I was. And what really kind of catapulted was when I decided after that breakup. I don't know if any of you have ever changed your life after a breakup. I feel like a lot of us do. Have you ever changed your life after a breakup, Leanne?
Oh, yes. Or I've changed my life and that caused a breakup. But yes.
That's true. That happens as well. So after that breakup, not only did I say I'm going to travel to, or I said I'm going to move to Texas, I also got my first passport, which is about to expire in a couple months, because it's been 10 years. And I got my passport and I booked a trip to Europe. It was a 35-day trip all around Europe. It was a tour group that took 18 to 28-year-olds because I never lived or traveled outside of the United States. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go to Europe. I felt cold there. My ancestry is all there. And so I booked that trip, and wow, did that expand my mind so much as a 24-year-old, seeing, I think I did 9 European countries, and this was in 35 days. And it was this massive tour. And I came back, and I was actually working at Texas Roadhouse with my degree, trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life. I came back to Texas Roadhouse, and I was like, how do I even relate to these people anymore? How do I even come back here with the knowledge and the understanding, the expansion that has occurred in my mind? And I immediately started feeling really dislocated from these people, this life, and I knew I wanted more for myself. I got bit by the travel bug. I was like, I'm going to travel. So then my family said, "Hey, it's time for you to probably get a job, like a legit job. You have a college degree. What are you going to do with your life?" I was living with my grandparents, and they kind of saw that I was partying a little bit, coming home late, things like that. And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? You're probably right." So then I applied to many jobs, and then I finally got accepted to be an executive assistant for a real estate team in Keller Williams. And I did everything but sell the houses for them, and I actually really enjoyed that. It was a really wonderful job and position. I then outworked my position. They were quite impressed with the branding, the marketing, the client care, everything I did. And they're like, "Would you want to be a real estate agent?" I just did it because I didn't know what else I wanted to do. I was like, I guess, yeah. So, working towards my real estate license, I yeah, I continued. I went back to waiting tables to pay my bills because they stopped paying me as their assistant. And yeah, in that world, it's a commission only world unless you work for like a major team and then they give you a little bit of money. But yeah, very quickly realized that ah, my mind, like my mindset is directly related to my success. And I started studying a lot more of Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins, certain people. And yeah, I actually had a coach, my first coach. She was a life coach, but she was also for business. And she started teaching me manifestation, law of attraction, helping me with my like mindset. And I remember having a call with her, Zoom, just like this. And I said, "So wait, what you do is a job?" "Yeah, I created this myself." I said, "You know what? I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to do that one day." And then many months later, I was opening the door for my clients to show them a home. And that's when I heard a voice and it said, "Lexi, you are here to help others find the homes within." And it was loud but calm, aggressive but soft. It was that, I mean, I like to think it was our connection to something greater. Source, God, angel, something. Something had a divine intervention. And I remember asking my clients, I said, "Did you guys hear that?" "No." I'm like, "Oh God. Oh my gosh. DSM-5 says, psychology manual. DSM-5 says hearing voices, schizophrenia. Oh my God." I was like so worried. And then I realized, no, that was me being put on my divine path. So it's been a journey of really understanding what is that home within, finding my own home within, all the healing that I've done, and healing myself, and then eventually feeling confident enough to support others in their healing journey as well. So that was more of the progression of what kind of led me here. Of course, I kind of stopped at about 2020, and there's some things that happened I know you want to talk about, such as the man I manifested. But there's things that happened to get to where I'm at now in 2025 with the type of work that I do.
Well, and I'm learning some things that I did not know. Couple of things that we have in common is I actually wanted to be a therapist. I went to graduate school for one semester, and then I was like, it was the finding out that I could get like all of the legal mumbo jumbo and stuff behind it. So I was like, this it's too formal. It's too no.
Yep.
It's not for me. So I stopped that. And then after my breakup, one of my big breakups, I became a travel agent and I started traveling the world. So my love for travel started after a breakup, got my first passport, all of that. And you gave us the perfect segue into the next question. I know that you and your husband just celebrated a special anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
know both of you are doing aligned work as coaches. You are both coaches. And I'd really love it if you would be willing to share with us the story of how you came together, how you called it in, how you manifested him, for those listening who are seeking a spiritual partnership for themselves.
Thank you for creating space for this story to come through and to inspire those who are looking to call in that divine individual to do this sacred union with. Because the one thing I will say is, I've done all the work before he showed up. That allowed me to attract him, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And it also takes continuous work to be in this type of relationship. The type of conversations that we have, the things we move through, is what makes our relationship so strong. We've had many moments. We just celebrated 2 years married, 5.5 years together. We've had many moments where we have to decide, are we going to keep doing this or not? And it is putting down your egos, helping each other put your egos aside and talking soul to soul. And it's been deeply rewarding and healing. I can't claim that I did all the healing and everything without him because he's really supported me in a lot of my growth as well, which is such a gift. But the way that I attracted this incredible man is, first of all, dating a lot of shitty men. But they were also reflections of what was going on within me. So I will take credit for that. Everything and everyone is a mirror. Now, I'm a reflector in human design, so supposedly I'm a cosmic mirror. I'm a different kind of mirror. I'm here to really mirror back people's potential, who they are, what's aligned, what's not aligned. And with that said, everything else is also a mirror to us. So if you're finding yourself in relationships where things are off or there's these patterns, there's these things going on in your life, anything, not just relationships, take a look at maybe where you're doing that, right? Like, for example, in the past, I found where maybe there's clients that aren't committing to doing work with me. And I'm like, what's going on? Why is everybody not committing? Like, oh, it's so annoying. But when I took a closer look, I was like, oh, where am I not committing? Yeah, I'm not really showing up in the gym like I want to with my health. Okay. And when I show up in the gym in my health, clients flood to me because I am embodying that frequency of commitment. So, all that to say, I did the inner work. I got super clear on what I wanted. Every man created contrast for me to show me what I didn't want and what I did want. There's a very toxic relationship that, yeah, like I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with that. I don't want to go into too much story with him, but let's just say that when that relationship ended, it catapulted me into, first of all, meditation, the Insight Timer app. I didn't really know how to sit still and just hear my thoughts and go within, so I had other people guide me to that. Sarah Blondin is one of my favorites, if anyone's curious. She deeply helped me through a lot of shit. Yeah, so meditation and getting super clear on what I wanted. And then it was a journey of the men I was dating were getting closer and closer to what I wanted. Of course, there was a lot of pain when they didn't choose me or things didn't work out. But I just kept going to my journal and saying, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, this is what I deserve. And just kept looking at my own stuff and working on healing with my inner child, looking at daddy wounds, daddy things. Yeah. And just taking a look at my past, healing things from that. And let's see what else. Okay, so then I I met a British guy on my 26th or 27th birthday, and he was visiting, and we had a crush. We kept talking. Then he ghosted me. But then before he ghosted me, I bought a plane ticket to come see him in London. And once he ghosted me, I was like, you know what? I think I'm meant to go to London anyway. So I went to London in 2018. Yes, I was 20, almost 27. And then I met a new guy, my British prince, that eventually crushed my heart, shattered it wide open. Probably the worst heartbreak I ever had, honestly. And although that was a short-lived relationship, it
British
showed me,
Prince. What?
well,
You just kind of
well, he wasn't a real prince, but to me he was.
like your Prince Charming.
Yeah. See, the princess stuff. This is like the princess era. The princess wanting to be saved and rescued and adored. And yeah, so those accents, they'll get you. Some of them. Yeah, and so this guy shattered my heart, and I just catapulted myself even deeper into personal growth and development. I think in that, and that was during my real estate days. I started listening to Tony Robbins. I think I typed into YouTube heartbreak, how to heal from heartbreak. So I got really clear on who I wanted, what the man was like. I think I said a spiritually minded man who's fun, who I think doesn't entertain any other women, who I was very specific, even down to the point where I said, he, what did I say? He's got a red passport. So I wanted to live in Europe. I was actually planning on moving to London. He's got a red passport and a British accent, but then at the end I said, or some kind of sexy accent, something like that. I was very specific. I wanted the hell out of the States. After I had been to Europe, it was wide open. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole other world outside of here. It's so much more beautiful here. I just really loved it. And so then I quit real estate, quit it all, went back to waiting tables and bartending at a British pub in San Antonio, Texas, because I knew that I wanted to live in London. So I said, I need to put myself in the environment. I'm going to trick myself into believing that I'm there. And I said, I'll probably meet people because most people who leave the States, or sorry, they leave the UK and they want to go and find like some of their things, like their staple items, right? Like fish and chips, whatnot. And so I worked at a British pub, totally like put aside my ego, even had to serve some of my former real estate like colleagues, which was sort of embarrassing at the time. But I knew I had a bigger mission. I knew what I was doing, and I was planning to move to London in 2020, move, travel, live there, whatever it was. That was my goal, and why I was also starting to build a digital online business as a coach. So then the next step was to go and study hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, and some other modalities. And I was taking that class, and then it was time for our in-person like test out, and that was a week long in Atlanta, Georgia. Oh yeah, and I also said that I would meet my husband while traveling, my future husband while traveling. That's very important. So then I go and travel to Atlanta, Georgia. I honestly couldn't even really afford it at the time. I was like living paycheck, I mean, tips to tips. And I didn't know how I was gonna make it work, but I knew I needed to be there. Even my friend was like, Lexi, you can always make more money. I got you. Like, it's okay. You can have some of my shifts when you get back. So I go to Atlanta. This is February 2020. And there at that training is my now husband. And we fell in love so deeply. We were trying to focus also on our training. We did. We ended up graduating and getting our certifications, but we fell in love so deeply, and later found out once I left that training, he went back to South Carolina. I went back to Texas. We kept talking, and I told him my goal, my plan to live in Europe. He's like, well, I'm European. I'm from Bulgaria. I was born there, and I have family that lives in London, so maybe I'll come visit you. I was like, great. I love that. We kept talking and flirting on WhatsApp and communicating. And then, yeah, you guys might remember what happened March 2020, global pandemic. I had just sold a lot of my things and moved back in with my grandparents because I didn't tell you, but there was a time where I did not live with my grandparents for many years, but I knew I was about to live in Europe, so I moved back home temporarily, which was another big ego thing. Oh my gosh. And I said, I cannot. I love these people, but I cannot quarantine with my grandparents and my mother, who now lives there. I will not. And then he asked me, do you want to come quarantine with me in South Carolina? If this is the end of the world, like we should, there's something here with this. I said, yes, please. Packed up my car and I moved to South Carolina, and I was there for 6 months. And we found out in the interim of all of that that he and I had actually been going to the same conference kind of thing. It's an event in Columbus, Ohio by Lewis Howes, the Summit of Greatness. Many years we've been orbiting each other, and that event's about 1 to 2,000 people. And we actually had photos of each other 7 months before we officially met. He met my best friend, and he has pictures of me in the background, and I have pictures of him, and we were right next to each other. However, I was entertaining another man at that time, and it was this push and pull, and it wasn't exactly like respectful communication. And I said in my journal that day, I said, I know my perfect match is out there. I just know he is. And he was. I was literally just about to go to the opening event, and he was out there in the same city. We just didn't meet because energetically, that frequency, we weren't in alignment. It wasn't the time. And so that's one of my favorite parts about it all, is because you can do the inner work, and you also have to put yourself out there. You have to go out and do the things. Like, I just got on with my life, Leanne. I was really focused on my dream and my vision. I knew what I deserved. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't obsess over it. I wasn't like, where is he? Is he going to be at this event? Oh my God. Just got on with my life. And he showed up in a matter of a couple of months. And the crazy thing is, I had a picture on my phone when I met him of Tom Ellis. And I used to watch a lot of TV back then, and I loved the show called Lucifer. It's a really hot British man named Tom Ellis. And my husband looks almost exactly like him. And that was my screensaver when I met my now husband. So this manifestation stuff, it works.
Woo! So many juicy layers to that story, and I love it. And I'm really tripping out about the fact that you both have pictures of each other.
Yeah. It's like that red string theory or something. I just think it's also soul contracts.
You said something that really, I was like, huh? Because before I do, I'm gonna just tell you that I guess I've had this fantasy about you get into this spiritual relationship, and then I mean maybe you might get on each other's nerves now and then, but it's pretty much smooth sailing. And you said that you're still having, I mean, you made it sound like you still have conflict in your relationship.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's different kind of conflict, but what were you going to say?
yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because I think I just assumed that if I were with someone who was doing the work with me, or not with me, but also that I don't know, I guess I thought there wouldn't really be any issues. The way that you said that sometimes you still have to ask each other, do we still want to be in this? Never even occurred to me that that would be conversations that would be had.
Right. It's a really good point, and I think there's
If you can indulge me, because I know that you're Scorpio, he's a Taurus, so you're opposites. I'm an Aquarius, my boyfriend is a Leo, so we are opposites. And they're we are opposites, you know? That's just I can't say it any plainer than that. And when you're with your opposite, there can be opposition. And that's all I'm going to say. So I really want to hear what you have to say in your experience, how you navigate that, and
mm,
anything that you want to share on that topic. I want to hear your story about this.
yeah. So I would say that I've heard it said before in the online space, there's a lot of people that will say, "Oh, you got to heal yourself before you meet your person." And I think that healing is an ongoing journey. It's a constant evolution and evolvement of oneself, of one's soul. That's how the universe works. It's a law of evolution. And so we're always evolving, we're always growing. And I grew up seeing, yeah, very unhealthy relationships, lots of divorce, and nobody talking about things. It's more like sweeping under the rug or blowing up at each other and fighting. And when I say like there's conflict, it's not that type of conflict. It is a completely different type of confrontation. It's more confrontation because you are confronting your shadows, yourself. You are each shedding and releasing layers in programming continuously together because I met him 5 years ago. And yes, I did a lot of inner work and a lot of healing, but I am so different from where I was 5 years ago. And it's about consciously and continuously evolving together. And in that, I like to think of it as like this energetic frequency, this energetic connection. So, you know, when there's a mismatch of energy between you and someone else, and mismatch of energy can be felt. And so, as long as you're growing together, you're still in the same energetic frequencies, what I like to think of. And so, we've been growing at a very beautiful pace together. And then sometimes when there's, like for example, quite big differences in values. We have such similar values in everything, but there was one that we had to work through, and we've done authentic relating training. We went to Costa Rica for this. We did it virtually, lots of relating, consciously relating, authentically, having conversations. And during that, more recently, we talked about we're planning on bringing children into this world, probably next year more so. And so, in that, has brought up a new layer of commitment because who you choose when you're consciously choosing to have a child with someone, who you consciously choose to have a child with is a different layer of commitment than marriage, even. It is. And we didn't realize that. And so we were at that event, and the training is all about, I think, like bringing charges, sharing things that you are afraid to share. And I, we talked about our differences in the way we eat. And my husband eats animals. I do not. I grew up since 14. I had a very traumatic thing happen, and I decided not to eat animals at that moment. My husband does. And when I met him, that wasn't on my list. I didn't say he's vegetarian. So we had to bring that up. How will we have our children eat? What will that be like? And we came to the terms that we both realized, chunked up, we both value, what was it? It was like we both value health and life, or okay, this was his lens. So he is a former personal trainer and a coach, high performance nutrition coach, things like that. And he sees eating meat as very valuable for your health. He worked for a vegan company and he saw a lot of unhealthy vegans. And so he was like, it's deteriorating your body. It's not good for you. I just think you might need to have a little bit of meat. And for me, it was like we were arguing the wrong things. I don't eat animals for the animals. I can't even think about it. I don't even like the replacement stuff that tastes like meat. It's disgusting to me. And so I had to share with him that, hey, actually, I'm not doing it for health. I value health, of course, but we're arguing different things here. And he's like, well, I value life too. I honor the meat. And I was like, okay. So we had those conversations, right? And so that's what it is. It's like bringing these things to the surface instead of sweeping it under the rug and just assuming and creating stories and then eventually having so much resentment, the relationship falls apart.
Wow, and also, another dynamic in my relationship. I don't eat meat, and he does. So that's another thing that we have.
Wow, there's so much similarities between us.
And but we're not having kids, so I never even thought about that. I mean, that is a very real thing.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is I really want to dive into the heart of your work a little bit. Can you share how the healing and coaching that you offer supports people in shifting out of old patterns or habits that are keeping them stuck? And how do you help them rise into the next version of themselves and create a life that actually feels aligned, expressive, and joyful? How do you do it?
Yeah, so it has been through trial and error and learning what helped me after many years of being on that healing journey myself. I started to help others with the tools, with the things that supported me. And then I found myself years later, where I'm at now, realizing that there's a certain process that I tend to take most women through. There's a sequence of what one goes through before they can get to that other side. And so I have started to create and have almost finalized my aligned method that I am trademarking, working on, finalizing, and it is going to be launched in my Journey for Joy Academy here very soon. And the goal is to have women come together in community because I know that when I was on that journey, I was very lonely. I didn't have anybody I could talk to about the things that I was experiencing, some of the spiritual concepts, truths, things I was going through. And I've seen that a lot of my clients are really looking for other women, other people they can have these conversations with to have that community, have that support. And so those are the things that I'm creating and working on. And how I've helped women in the past is through, yeah, the aligned method. And it starts with really helping people tap into who they are authentically, their authenticity. And that is outside of the programming and society and what they say you should do, shouldn't do. It is helping someone tap into who they truly are in their soul's essence. And I help people tap into that with hypnotherapy, connecting with their inner voice, with their truth, receiving that from themselves. But also, Gene Keys has been a big teacher. Human design is a wonderful teacher. Astrology, which I know you love and support. And those things are these wonderful tools to show us like how we came here to be. What is our soul? What is our human here to do? And I think that's very important. And I'm getting chills because I just feel so strong about this. I also love to help women connect with their values and what they desire. A lot of the women have felt like, who am I to live this big, lavish life? Or I'm afraid to do this. And really, connecting with that authenticity, who you are, is the most important step before we liberate. And that is shedding away and taking away all the things that are not that, all of the things that have been put on you. And this is more of that inner child healing. I do past life regression, childhood regression, just understanding where those programs, where those beliefs, where all of that has started, and helping them reprogram and shift that deep in their core. And then helping them also connect with that intuition, that voice that's telling them, guiding them, who's been whispering all along to do that one thing. Because I think that that is so important to listen to that voice. And that was that voice for me that told me I'm here to help others find the homes within. And the other bit is really teaching women that everything here is for their growth, seeing everything through a growth mindset. When even when shit hits the fan and things are crazy, how can you see that as your growth, right? Like I had my apartment flood. The woman above us flooded our apartment a couple months ago. And of course, in the moment, it's like, oh my God, what's happening, right? You have to take action, you're figuring it out. But then after that day, I sat and I thought, and I went, how is this happening for me? Like, what is going on here? What is this teaching me? What is happening? I also saw that I wrote on a sign, I invite in ease and overflow. I kid you not. That
Whoa.
was on my like a little office board. And when I was sat there trying to discern and figure out why the hell that happened, what it was teaching me, I went, oh my God, did I manifest this? What the heck? I meant money, universe, I meant money. I didn't mean overflow of water, but then some of my friends said water and money is connected. Anyway, so how is this happening for my growth? How is this helping me? And what are those action steps that you need to take towards that aligned life? What are those things? Because yes, we can do all that inner work, but if you're just going to sit on your couch and just meditate and not take action in the physical, it's not going to happen. So taking those growth steps. And then N is nurturing. So helping women nurture themselves deeply, routines, and just getting to know their bodies more, getting to know their minds, protecting themselves. Because let's be honest, Leanne, this world is freaking crazy. There's a lot happening, a lot shifting. But I know I feel better when I go out in nature, move my body, meditate, like these practices. And it's not just a luxury, it's a necessity, honestly. And whenever I fall off of that, I can feel it. So really helping women repair that. They have a lot of what's it called? Like lack of self-trust because they continuously say they're going to do something and then they don't. So repairing that self-trust by teaching them little ways to take care of themselves and then how that compounds. And then also helping them understand the embodiment of their higher self, the energy. How does she show up? What does she act like? That vision of her, where you want to be, and what would she do? How would she act? How would she be? And start living from that. And then also the last piece with the aligned method is devotion. Oh, living in devotion, devotion to oneself, devotion to one's mission, one's purpose, one's soul, to something bigger than themselves. That is so important. And I feel like that's a guiding force in my life. I know that I'm here for a reason. I woke up today. You woke up today. We are all here for a reason. And let's devote our lives to that. So taking women through that method, I just kind of, it's aligned. Every letter stands for something. And so taking them through
Love
that.
it.
Yes, and it's a 6 month transformational program. And really, what it's here for is to help women break free of the systems that have been profiting off of us and our insecurities and our pain and our oppression. I have chills right now. Oh, saying that
Wow.
you need something outside of you to feel worthy, to feel loved. No, you don't. You don't. And I teach you that way.
So, yes, tell me about it. How do people join? When does it start? Where do they go? Give us the
Yes.
dates.
Absolutely. So I am having it start on right now, July 22nd. It is Mary Magdalene's feast day. And I have been reclaiming, I grew up in religion and I'm not religious of any sort, but I had Mary Magdalene come to me. That's a whole nother story for another podcast, another day. And that's a very special day to me. That happened last year while living in London. And it's a special day. So I'm launching it that day, or I'm actually opening the doors that day. But people can work with me one-on-one before that. This will be the group program. And yeah, I also do my quantum healing hypnosis sessions, which are deeply transformational.
And how do they find you? Journey for Joy with Lexi.com?
Yes. Yep. And also on Instagram, same Journey for Joy with Lexi.
And I will have all of that in the show notes as well. And so, do you have a registration page just yet for the Academy, or is that going to be
No.
on your website?
It's going to be on my website right now. What I'm doing actually are market research calls. I'm finalizing my method. So this is also me being a 3-5 in human design. I know I keep mentioning this. I just got done with a human design program, so it's in my consciousness. And so I'm here to really understand how this can be finalized through, how do I want to say this? Maybe cut that part out. Um, so I'm doing market research calls right now to really understand. I have this method, I have this thing that I've taken women through, but it is slightly tweaked and changed from before. And so I'm doing research calls on the soul aligned assessment that I created to see how aligned you are right now. And so I'm doing that. And I'm also just kind of creating this community of people who are interested while I work on that. I'm also traveling the end of this month. And so it's about to be launched and shared. But if you're interested in doing work with me, just reach out and we can chat.
Perfect. Yay! I'm so excited. That sounds incredible. And when I started this year, I had this feeling, and I know I journaled it somewhere, that community is going to be so, so, so important. A lot of people are looking to find their people. We've got more people waking up than they ever have before. And as you mentioned, it can be very, very lonely if you're going it alone. And I mean going it alone without having people sharing the journey with you, and going it alone without having a coach, a mentor, a teacher, someone to guide you.
Yeah,
And yeah, Chat GPT is great, but it does not replace a human.
absolutely. I
AI is
agree.
not human, and it
Yeah.
can never replace the nurturing that you get from having somebody who's walked the walk. You have walked it. You have
Yes.
been there. You have experienced all of the things that you can experience in life, and you've learned how to rise above it, to transform it, and to create and continue creating such a happy life. And that
Absolutely.
is what we're about around here, is how can we create happier, more fulfilling lives. And I just really appreciate you being here. And you're going to be back.
Yes, I will be back. We have a lot to share and to dive into.
Yes, we do. And I'm so excited for the future conversations. I'm really excited about that. So thank you so much, Lexi, for being here.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this and had a lot of fun. And I really appreciate you as a person, as a soul. And I'm excited to have you on my podcast that's launching soon. So thank you for sharing your magic and allowing me to share mine.
Thank you. All right. Until next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.